Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Threes. Really cool that they're coming down here. This was canned, wow, pretty fresh, about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, this is Hazy IPA. This is Capacity for Wonder. So this is, I mean, I always thought they made Hazy IPAs. At least like even early days, like they opened soon after Threes, and Threes wasn't even producing Hazy IPAs at first, for first year or two. This is a Hazy IPA with Brewer Selected Citra Galaxy. Wow. Yeah, cool. Juicy, soft, tropical. They're always great with their descriptors. What this comes in at 7. See how they turn. Then again, New York has gotten quite different with hazy. At least with the new modern hazy IPAs, right? So their hazies never look like this. At least Three's IPAs didn't. This is very pale and very murky. It's a kind of like a straw color, and it's completely hazy, almost milky looking. Get a little bit of like, medium plus a full haze, right? Like big fluffy white head, done fresh. Slightly yellowish off-white head on the nose. Yeah, that's what is it? Yeah, Galaxy. Yeah, Galaxy. Yeah, Galaxy for days. I mean, does it remind me of green? A little bit. Reminds me of Treehouse Green a little bit. One of my favorite beers of all time. Yeah, you get this kind of like big. Let me think. Galaxy, I guess. Do I color that? Like again, I'm thinking of flavors like fruit characteristics, and you want to color them with fruits, and fruits have colors. So like that's sort of where I'm trying to go. And then you get, yeah, it does smell like green a little bit. What is this fruit? It's a sweet kind of like honeydew kind of character that I also get from Mosaic, but like honeydew. And like, oh yeah, man, that is green. What is that flavor? It's like mango with what do they call it? Soft melon and pineapple. There you go. Bold tropical fruit being ideally the Citra, and then soft melon and pineapple. So yeah, there you go. Like that's. I mean, I even look at the label and call it that. It's a soft melony character. It's ripe. It's not quite as juicy as cantaloupe, but really like juicy honeydew is what I get. Almost like exotic honeydew, like some of these crazy melons that like I haven't had too many melons in my life. Right? There's the big ones are like cantaloupe and honeydew, but there's other melons out there, and like it also has a little bit of this kind of longan kind of thing, which is like a specific kind of like Chinese fruit, Asian fruit. Longan, yeah, wow, it's a very unique aroma, and they call pineapple on this. I can see pineapple. I can see pineapple. That's not kind of like adjacent to like this melon kind of thing that's going on. Okay. Beer follows a little bit on the palate. Um, it does leave a little bit dry. A little bit this kind of like lingering, not quite hot burn thing, but it is the beer ends a little too fast. I wish it looked softer, a little bit more. Honestly, like I feel like the newer takes on like Treehouse. I think it was like 2 years ago. I like got a bunch of Treehouse, and like a bunch of them sort of taste like this. Like they weren't just like smash it. They were just, I mean, that's a huge compliment, by the way. That like Capacity for Wonder from Threes, a brewery that's not hyped at all, literally tastes like this is spot on for what I tried from Threes, but like a couple years ago. Some of the beers were like really good, but most of them were just like right here. Good, great. Let's say great. They're great, but not like, I mean, like for a few years there. I mean, Treehouse in my mind was making the best hazy IPA in the world, or at least some of the best of the hazy IPA in the world, and they were crushing it, being world class at that. A bunch of the beers then I tried a few like a bunch of years later, after I moved down here, they just like they started tasting like a little bit more bland, a little bit more in the road with like what other producers were doing. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But this is just on level with like great level Treehouse, not like amazing world class Treehouse, but just great Treehouse. It cuts a little short, so okay, yeah. Let's talk about the shortness. It hits around like 3/4 of the way to the palate, and the beer ends up a little dry, a little bit astringent, maybe a little bit chalky, maybe a little bit hot burny, but like just at the place where it's like right before where you can call it hot burn and call it chalky. It's just like right there, like a little bit chalky, a little bit dry. Right? It's a little. It starts a little too early for where the beer should finish, but it doesn't distract necessarily and come off as necessarily a huge all flavor. It's just like, it's like, why does the beer have to like, end so quickly? You know what's almost like if a movie had two endings and like one ending was just better. So like they just cut it off at like one ending and then you're like, oh, where's the rest of the movie? Could have had a better ending, right? That's what this is. It's not necessarily off. It's not like somebody turned off the movie before it was meant to end, right? Like that would suck. That's when the off flavor really hits. It's like, oh, it could have been better, but it didn't, right? On the palate, it follows. It's really galaxy forward. Again, reminds you a lot of green. I get mangoes, I get pineapple, but not like juicy ripe pineapple. More that kind of like bitter and fruity part of pineapple instead of the sweet, juicy, ripe part of pineapple. Follows with the melon characters for sure. Tons of honeydew going on. A little bit more of that long end. There's another fruit in there that I'm looking for. A little bit like sweet pear. Hard. Sweet pear. So hard to pin down. You guys, good luck, good luck. If you guys have like a really good batch of like a Galaxy beer, let me know what you get, because Capacity of Wonder is like a perplexing one. It's like, it reminds you of like green, it reminds you of like a Galaxy, but it's like, it's so hard to pin down what flavor that is. Like, that's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. But anyway, as we're talking about beer, really nice and crushable. Definitely hazy IPA. Not really fruity, not very ripe, which is nice. Like, it's nice to have a beer that's not only Citra forward. This one's actually Galaxy forward. It's not really too that ripe or juicy. And then again, big one. It doesn't really rely on these really disgusting all flavors of like the chalky and hop burn. The beer ends up a little bit short. It doesn't have the full creamy mouthfeel that you'd expect, but definitely is a smooth body, medium to medium plus body. It just ends a little too early. And then now I want to call it, it's not really chalky, it's a little bit hop burny. Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit to dry out the beer. And if the beer was full, luscious, and super hop expressive, and almost like quote unquote like impression of sweetness up front, then it would really do a good job, because like the hop burn ends up like helping out the beer, almost acting like bitterness for IPAs, right? Like sometimes the hop burn almost like plays as bitterness in hazy IPA instead of like, whereas like West Coast IPA, you have bitterness. New England IPA, you have like hop burn sometimes, right, to help cut it. We also have bitterness too, but the hop burn sometimes is what you get instead to cut the beer. It's really tasty. Honestly, I think this beer has a little bit more impression than the unreliable narrator that I just reviewed. This beer gets a solid 95. Until next time, guys, cheers. 95. That is great stuff. That is Capacity for Wonder. Again, this is a great Treehouse levels beer, but like that's still 95. Like top batches of green should be like 100, 100 plus out of 100. Like boom, 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 boom. Those 5 points are huge. You're getting from like great beer to like insane. Like that's some of the best beer I have in my life, right? But it's a 95. That's great. Very tasty. Again, if you're from New York, you're in New York. I don't drink Treehouse enough, but I would bet that Treehouse Green, unless they've like that drastically changed things in the last few years, at that mass production scale, tastes just as good as this. Cheers. Later. Let me know.